Here we have the Wish version of Batman and the Flash. This is Nighthawk and the Blur from Squadron Supreme of Marvel Legends. Ready to talk about these guys? Now, for me personally, these are deep cuts from the Marvel world. I'm not familiar with these characters at all, and to be honest, most of my Marvel knowledge comes from the MCU, the comic book guys on TikTok, as well as 90s animated cartoons from Fox Kids. I don't remember these guys ever showing up. But immediately when I saw the box at Ollie's, I knew this guy was basically the Flash, and I knew this guy was basically Batman, which seemed kind of fun. So I got them just to see what they were like. Now, first impressions of these figures were mostly good. I like the way that this guy looks. He almost looks like Reverse Flash a little bit, and I like the thunderbolts and lightning and all that kind of stuff. There's also some posability features here that work really well with this character in particular. And then when it came to this Nighthawk, I mean, this is essentially, look at the cape. It looks like a bat. He's got this really cool cowl. The cape removes, and the paint work on him is a very nice gold paint. It's not too shiny, but when it comes to this figure in particular, I look at his legs and they are like misshapen. I don't know how, like, if you look at this one, like it's weirdly misshapen. And the last time I remember something like this happening was with G.I. Joe Classified. It was Agent Helix. Now, the issue with that figure was that it was zip tied down to the box very tightly, and that caused the disfiguration of the leg. But this one, I don't really know. It almost looks like he's got rickets of some kind. And in terms of the packaging that this figure was in, it was just essentially cardboard that was stuck together to create a rigid structure so that it wouldn't knock around too much, and I'm guessing damage the paint. Which is unfortunate because I think it's going to limit exactly how I'm able to pose this figure, because the weight distribution, the center of gravity is just going to be all over the place with Nighthawk here. But the cool thing about these figures is that they do come with accessories. Blur comes with some alternate hands, some open hands, as well as some fists. Nighthawk also comes with open hands as well as closed fists for good punching action, and he also comes with a weapon of sorts. Now, I'm guessing these are the Nighthawkerangs, but really they honestly look like batarangs. This is the Blur right here. He's a very, he's flat. He's not skinny. He almost feels flat. There's not a lot of musculature here that makes him bulky and big, which I think fits the speedster role very well. So let's just check to see how well he bends. He's got some really stiff knees, but they do bend extremely far back. I'm guessing we're going to see the same with the arms here too. Oh yes, yes we are. And the head will crane up very far, look down very far, and we have that T cut into his abs that allow us to crunch forward, have some back problems later in life. And the belt here does float up and down, which can be kind of awkward, especially when you're trying to pose him. But what ends up happening is that you can seat it around the waist swivel, so it kind of hides that. Unless you move him, you can kind of see the plastic sticking out there. I think you're going to get that no matter what, but it's just because there's not a whole lot here, it's somewhat pronounced. But the coolest feature of this figure is the butterfly joints, which crane so far back. It is ridiculous. He's able to have very naturalistic poses. And if you see, if we just kind of put him in a very basic running pose like that, you can see just how well that comes across on camera, where you can see that he's I'm probably overdoing it, but you see just how fast. You can get a sense of speed because of the way that the shoulders are able to flex and move naturalistically. Now Nighthawk here is similar. I can remove the cape. It just kind of gets in the way. It's a molded piece of plastic. Not the best. I think a soft goods cape here would have been incredible, but I get why this wasn't the case. And then you also have the peg here. So it doesn't just sit on his shoulders. It goes into the character a little bit so that it can stick, and that's nice. So it's not constantly falling off. It's not, you're fiddling with it. It's not the most secure connection in the world, but it's better than nothing. But both figures have the pinless joints, which is nice. It's a nice thing to see. For these costumes in particular, I don't think it would have made much difference, because in these areas right here, you could have just had the same pegs, the same color pegs, and it probably would have looked fine. And then when it comes to the legs, we have the issue with just them not being right. It caused some issues with posing him, the ab crunch forward and back, and then the head too, just like Blur, goes way up, it can go way down. Essentially, the posability in this figure allows Nighthawk to be dramatic. And when you have a Batman-type figure, you want some drama with your poses because the costumes just fit that type of aesthetic. Now again, like Blur, we have some good range of motion within the butterfly joints. Are they as extreme as Blur? You know, it's pretty close. I wouldn't say as extreme as Blur, but it still offers a above average range in the butterflies so that you can, again, fit with those dramatic poses. I don't know if this detail on the back of the cape was intentional or not, but it almost looks like a very heavy leather that goes on that. You don't necessarily get that on the other side. Maybe it's the color, but I kind of like how the cape turned out, even though that it's not a soft goods cape. I think that would have really made this figure stand out. But the cape that's there isn't bad. Now, ultimately, I don't know too much about these guys other than what I've just seen about them, or what I can assume is a very Marvel take on DC classic heroes. But what I do know in terms of articulation and action figures is that these guys have a lot going on for them. If it weren't for the weird leg problem here on Nighthawk, this would have been an absolute incredible posable set that I can still get away with stuff with Nighthawk, to be honest, but it's just not as robust as it could have been because of just some quality issues, it seems. I think this is just a nice little set. And if you can find one of these at Ollie's and you like some really posable action figures, this is a good look for you. So that's all I know about these guys. And if you like action figures, if you like blasters, other collectibles, and pop culture stuff, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.